Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tamassir, tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. So inshallah today we will do the exercises for lesson number 6, Tamarinu. And as we know that this is mamnu min as-sarf, that's why there will be no tanween on that. It will be Tamarinu on the pattern of mafa'ilu. And in this lesson, as we know that we are discussing about two derived forms of the noun, which is dharf al-zaman or dharf al-makan, adverb of place and adverb of time. And we know that they come on either on the pattern of maf'alun or they come on the pattern of maf'ilun. So that's what we discussed in the lesson, and inshallah, now we will answer the questions. Question number 1 is ma. So ajib anil asilat al-atiyah. So we have discussed many times. So now it's easier. Ma adadul mushtarakina fi rihlat al-hajj. Okay, so ma adadul mushtarakina. Why do we have it here ina and why not mushtarikuna?
Mudaf ilayh.
Excellent. So as we can see here, adad is mudaf, and after that we have mudaf ilayh, and it is always majroor. So una, ina. And similarly, we have here fi, harf jar, and after that, the noun will be majroor, fi rihlati, and this is also mudaf, and that's why al-hajji will be majroor, it will be mudaf ilayh, fi rihlati al-hajji. So what is the number of participants in the journey of Hajj? Adaduhum 30 taliban. Yes, adaduhum 30 taliban. Their number is 30 students. So here we have adaduhum and we have 30 taliban. Okay, here why we have 30 taliban and why not 30 taliban? Because here, yeah, adaduhum, their number is, so adaduhum is mubtada, and mubtada, yes, mubtada is always marfu, and 30 taliban, as we know that 30 is khabar, and khabar is also marfu. Yeah, so that's why both of them are marfu. Mubtada is marfu and khabar is marfu. That's why it is adaduhum 30 taliban. Their number is 30 students. And we need to remember that whenever we have a nominal sentence, al-jumlatul ismiyah, it always starts with a noun. So whenever we see that it starts with a noun, we need to just figure out what could be the mubtada and what could be khabar. And what we have to do, we have to place is rm, and wherever we can place is rm, that means it will be mubtada and the rest of the part will be khabar. Adaduhum, and adaduhum is also, we know that this is mudaf ilayh. Yeah, so this construction would be either mubtada or khabar, the complete construction. It cannot be broken. So this is also like easier to figure out whether it is mubtada or khabar. When we see that we have mudaf ilayh, most likely it will be either mubtada or khabar. Aina dhahaba Hamidun wa Abdul Baqi. Okay, where did Hamid and Abdul Baqi go? Dhahaba, as we know, is the verb, and it's fail, and plus Hamidun is the fa'il, and Abdul Baqi is also fa'il. All right, Ana dhahaba. Yes.
Hamidun fil mat'am
Amma Abdul Baqi.
Amma Baqi
فقد ذهب إلى المصرف. Excellent.
The masjid in the back.
Yes. Okay. Hamidun fil mat'ami. Mat'am, as we know that this is dharf makan, adverb of place. Hamidun fil mat'ami. Hamid is in the restaurant. Amma Abdul Baqi, as for Abdul Baqi, faqad dhahaba ila al-masrafi. So indeed he went to the bank. And here we can see that it is masrif, it has kasra, and here it is mat'am, it has fatha. So as we have discussed, either it can come on the pattern of maf'al or maf'il. So this is mat'amu and this is mat'amun and maf'ilun. So this is because this is from bab daraba yadribu. So whenever a noun comes from bab daraba yadribu, from sahih, then it will always come on the pattern of maf'ilun. And we discussed this in yesterday's class.
Masjid Majlis.
Yes. Mata maw'idus safari. When is the time of Mata is khabar and maw'idus safari is mubtada. So when is the time of travel?
Appointed time for travel.
Yes, appointment for travel. موعد السفر في الساعة الثالثة بإذن الله. So the travel time is 3 o'clock with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And بإذن we have discussed in the previous lesson. And موعد السفر, as we can see here, again, this is مضاف مضاف إليه. And fi is حرف جر. And الساعة الثالثة is basically also, time is also used as adverb of time, as we know that. And then بإذن is also complete construction, حرف جر and مجرور, and also مضاف مضاف إليه. أين يلتقي الطلاب? Where will the students meet? So أين, as we know, cannot be, and this is also, we know that this is a verbal sentence. So يلتقي, he meets, who meets, we have to look for the noun that has dhamma. So if the noun is apparent, it will always take dhamma if it is the fa'il. So أين يلتقي الطلاب? Where will the students meet? وفي أي ساعة, and at what time or in which hour? Yeah.
يلتقي الطلاب في
car park في موقف السيارة. Excellent. Perfect. So the students يلتقي الطلاب, the students will meet في موقف السيارات, in the car park. And we know that موقف is from مثال وقف يقف, and مثال always comes on the pattern of مفعول. موقف السيارات, in car park, بالجامعة, inside the university, قبل موعد السفر, yes, before the appointment of the travel, yes, بنصف ساعة, by half an hour. By half an hour. Excellent. أين يلحق, لحق يلحق, and it always comes with the preposition of ba. So أين, yes, أين يلحق بهم طلاب المهجة الثاني, and where will the students of the other hostel will meet them? سيلحقون بهم, they will meet them عند, nearby or at, محطة القطار القديمة. So as we yesterday discussed in the lesson, that in the lesson it was written محطة القطار القديمي. So as one of the sisters rightly figured out, that because we are using this sifa for the mahatta, which is the station, so we know that mawsuf and sifa are always equal in number, gender. So gender should be the same, capacity and status. So mahatta is majroor and qadim is majroor. This is a proper noun because it is proper, and this is also proper noun, and this is majroor and this is also majroor, and this is feminine and this is also feminine. So there was a mistake in the lesson yesterday or in the previous lesson. It was written al-qadimi, so it has to be al-qadimati. Inda, so we know that inda dharf, and after that the noun will be always majroor, and here it is majroor because mahatta is used as madaf, and we know that this is the sifa of mahatta, so that's why it is also majroor. Excellent, alhamdulillah. Now we have here all the details that we discussed in the previous lesson in English. Now we have all the details in Arabic. Kalimatun maw'idun. So the word maw'id, ma'khudhatun. Okay, now ma'khudhatun. Can you figure out what kind of noun is this?
Akhaza. Akhaza.
Okay.
This is mahmuz and this is
ma'khudhatun is on the pattern of maf'ulun. Maf'ulun. So akhadha ya'khudhu, ukhidha yukhadhu. Yes. Fahuwa akhidhun, fadhaka ma'khudhun. So ma'khudh on the pattern of maf'ul, ma'kul, and we know because kalima is feminine, so that's why for the kalima we have also ta marbuta. Yeah. So kalimatun maw'idun ma'khudhatun, so is taken from akhadha ya'khudhu means to take, and ma'khudhatun is taken, because this is
Extracted.
passive. Yeah, it is taken or it is extracted. Min wa'ada ya'idu. So it is taken from wa'ada ya'idu. Lid-dalalati, to indicate. Lid-dalalati ala. Dalalati always comes with the preposition of ala, to indicate. Zaman al-wa'di, to indicate the time of promise. Aw makanihi, or its place. So as we know that, yeah, either it talks about a place or it talks about time. But tusamma, and it is called, tusamma is also passive. Samma yusammi tasmiyatan. So we know that it starts with ta, so that means this is present. Yeah, this is present because it starts with the sign of the present ta. And after that, we don't see kasra, we see fatha. So, yeah, so it confirms that it is on the pattern of
present passive.
Yuf'alu, so this is present passive. But tusamma, and it is called isma zamanin, so it is called isma zaman, as we have discussed. إذا كانت للدلالة على الزماني. So when it is, or when it indicates, إذا كانت, as we know that إذا, when it is used with the past, it gives the meaning of present. إذا كانت, yes, للدلالة على الزماني. So whenever it indicates, it indicates time, it is called ism zaman. واسم مكان, and it is called ism المكان إذا كانت للدلالة على المكان. If it indicates makan, yani place.
The place.
Yeah, so if it indicates time, it is called adverb of time. And if it indicates place, it is called adverb of place. So
Yes.
as we have named them, adverb of time and adverb of place. Ismun, and the plural of ismun is ismani. And ismani, as we know here, is
Here it is dropped,
the
then
noon
because
has
of
been
mudaf.
dropped because it is mudaf alayh. So for the dual and for the plural, the noon gets dropped when it is used as mudaf. Example, tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. It was tabbat yadani. Yadani, but the noon has been dropped because yadan has been used as mudaf, and that's why the noon has been dropped. Similarly, we have next lessons, complete lessons on this, but subhanallah, as of now, you have a complete idea about it, that whenever we use the dual as mudaf, the noon gets dropped. And it is used as mudaf, that's why the noun that comes after that is mudaf ilayh. Isma, so it's basically isma, but when we connect it, it will be isma zamani wal makani. So two nouns of place, of time and place, yeah. So let's say this is mubtada. So two nouns of time and place are, so put are here. So the rest will be the khabar. Are ismani, are two nouns. What kind of nouns? They are nouns masughani that are formed. Yeah, masughani that are formed. Saga yasughu, and then sigha yusahu, and similarly we have masughun on the pattern of maf'ulun. So these are two nouns that are formed. للدلالة على زمان الفعل.
What is the actual meaning, Ustad? What is the original root word, and what's the actual meaning of this?
Yasughu means to form, F-O-R-M.
Something which is crafted also we call this one, Ustad, or
yeah, to form, like the form of something. When you give something a form or a shape, that is called sighatun. That's called sigha. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So masughani lidalalati ala zaman al-fi'li. So basically, they indicate the same thing, the time of action. Aw makanihi. Yeah, fi'l means action. Aw makanihi, or its place. Wa yusaghani. I would like to know if you are able to figure out, is this active or passive?
This is passive.
Active.
Okay, active. All right.
Because it has additional alif in between, so it's from like mazid fi.
Okay.
No.
But if we have yusahu, what will be the muthanna? Yusahu, yusaghani, yusaghuna. So that's why, if you remember, I told you that if you are able to memorize one conjugation of the passive for the past and one conjugation of the passive for the present, it will be so easy for you. So if you can memorize like yuqalu, yuqalani, yuqaluna, tuqalu, tuqalani, yuqulna. So if you are able to memorize one conjugation, inshallah, it will be so easy for you. So this is basically sigha yusaghu, yusaghu, yusaghani. 2. So yusaghani, this is basically passive. Wa yusaghani, and they are formed min al-fi'li, from the verb. What kind of
So it is
verb?
active or passive, Ustad?
This is
So
passive,
like,
of course. Yusaghani.
Passive, that's what.
Look,
Okay.
when we have dhamma and after dhamma, when
Yeah,
we have
dhamma and
fatha,
fatha and fatha. That's what I just because last time we made a mistake and then I thought it is dhamma and fatha, so that's why I said passive. It's passive only, right?
it is passive. Passive for the present
Okay.
tense. Passive for the
Okay,
present
yeah.
tense. Okay. So,
Yeah.
for example, qala yaqulu.
Because
qila
last time we
yuqalu.
did the regarding the dalala, you showed some example, and that time it had a kasra at the end, before the end, the last but one. So that time you said like just see the signs and just see if it is extracted or if it is this thing.
Yeah, this is all right. So this is not
passive.
extracted. Yeah, this is the real passive, made from the verb. So min al-fi'l thulathi. So basically, they are made from the verbs that have three root letters.
Original.
Al-mujarrad means
Mujarrad.
only. Yeah. So the verb.
This is the original mujarrad.
Original or only, that has only 3 root letters, or original 3 root letters. Ala wazni, on the wazn of maf'alin and maf'ilin, on the pattern of maf'al and maf'il. So the whole thing, as we discussed in the previous lesson, that ism al-zaman wa ism al-makan, they come on the pattern of maf'alun or maf'alin. Most of them come on the pattern of maf'alun, and there are also some of them that also come on the pattern of maf'alin, and we have discussed about which ones are for the maf'alun and which patterns are for maf'alin, and we have also discussed some exceptions as well, and we will inshallah see those exceptions in the lesson as well. وَيَأْتِيَانِ. Okay, ya'tiyani. Active or passive?
Active.
Yes, ya'tiyani. Yeah. So ya'tiyani, and they both come ala wazni maf'alin. Yeah, they come on the, yes, atayati, ya'tiyani. So they both come on the pattern of, or on the wazn of maf'alin. They come on the pattern of maf'alin. In fact, they don't only come on the pattern of maf'alin, they come on the pattern of maf'alun and maf'ilun, both of them, right? So this kalima can have fatha and it can also have kasra. Idha, when, kan al-fi'lu naqisan, and when the verb is naqis, nahwu, jara yajri, and from jara yajri we have majran. So sorry, yeah, so here, yes, correction please. So it comes on the pattern of maf'alun when it comes
only when it is naqis. Yeah.
When it is naqis. All right. So jara, we can see that the third root letter is ya, which is naqis. So that's why it comes on the pattern of majran. Aw kana al-mudari'u, or if the mudari is maftuh al-aini. Maftuh al-aini, that means that the mudari has ain. How? Look here.
Fatha yaftahu on the bab, fatha ustad.
Yeah, as we have here, laiba, yal'abu. So mudari is maftuh al-ain, as we can see here. Aw madmumaha, or it is madmum, yani mudari has dhamma, as we can see here. Yeah. So if the mudari has ain al-kalima, if the mudari has fatha or kasra, or sorry, dhamma, if it has fatha or dhamma, then it will always come on the pattern of maf'alun. So two things as we discussed, when it is naqis, it always comes on the pattern of maf'alun, and when mudari has either ain al-kalima, either it has fatha or dhamma. The exception is it doesn't come from bab daraba yadribu. So you can remember only one thing, that it does not come from bab daraba yadribu. It comes from the other abwab, but not from daraba yadribu. Or you can remember it like this.
That's what it is. Yeah, naqis ya'i, and even wa also is included, or only naqis ya? Because he says naqis, but he has not.
Naqis kullaha, all of them, whether it is wawi or ya'i. Yes.
Okay.
So from la'iba yal'abu, we have mal'abun. So we can see here it is on the pattern of maf'alun. Kataba yaktubu maktabun. So we can see that this is also on the pattern of maf'alun. And here we have some note, small note over here. And this is the exception that we discussed yesterday. Qad, indeed, ja'a, it came. Min, from yaf'alu. So sometimes, or it can come from yaf'alu. Al-madmum al-aini. So even if it is sometimes, if it is madmum al-ain, as we can see here, we have madmum al-ayn here. Kalimatun ala maf'ilin. And sometimes even if it is madmum al-ayn, even if it is from bab nasara yansuru, it can take kasra, it can come on the pattern of maf'ilun. For example, sharaqa yashruqu. It is from bab nasara yansuru. So this is exception, as we have seen yesterday. So instead of mashraqun, it is mashriqun. So it's not mashraqun, it is mashriqun. That's why it is an exception. Similarly, we have gharaba yaghrubu. So instead of maghrabun, we have maghribun. And sajada yasjudu. Instead of masjadun, we have masjidun. And as we discussed in the previous lesson, that jalasa is from bab daraba. So that's not an exception, okay? So the only exception will be from bab nasara. Please remember that. Only from bab nasara yansuru. And as we have discussed that these are three derived, nouns that have come in the Quran. The rest of them, like there are around 8 or 9 of them, I think they haven't been used in the Quran. And we know that the plural is for mashriq is mashariq, maghrib is magharib, and masjid is masajid.
Masajid.
Yes, all of them. Yes, all of them being used in the Quran. وَيَأْتِيَانِ, and they both come ala wazni maf'ilin, sorry, they come on the pattern of maf'ilin, idha, when, kan al-fi'lu, when the fi'l is, or when the noun of the verb is sahih al-akhiri. Sahih al-akhiri, the ending of this is sahih, as we can see here. Jalasa.
It's a sound word here.
Yeah, it's a sound verb. Maksur al-aini. So when the end, or when it is maksur al-ain, as we know that when it is from bab daraba yadribu, as we can see that this is maksur al-ain. How do we know that? That this is from jalasa yajlisu. So ain al-kalima is maksur. So whenever it is maksur al-ain and the last part or the third letter is sahih in the present tense. So as we discussed that whenever it comes from bab daraba yadribu, it will always come on the pattern of maf'ilun. For example, jalasa yajlisu. So that's why we have majlisun on the pattern of maf'ilun. Similarly, nazala yanzilu. So we have manzilun. So if إذا كان الفعل صحيح الآخر, so كان الفعل is اسم كان, and there was a mistake over here, so I have corrected that. So and then the rest will be خبر كان, all of it. So that's why it has fatha, and here it has fatha. Why it has fatha? صحيح الآخر and مكسور العين, because this is خبر كان, and we know that خبر كان is always mansub. So number one, if it comes on the pattern of daraba yadribu, the simple thing to remember is, or if the present tense is maksur al-ain, and we know that in daraba yadribu, the ain al-kalima is maksur. So you can remember it either from bab daraba yadribu, or you can remember that whenever it is maksur al-ain, which we can see over here, it will always come on the pattern of maf'ilun. Aw kana mithalan, or it is mithal sahih al-akhiri, and it is mithal, and the ending of it, or the third kalima, is sahih. What is meant by that? Waqafa. So akhir is here sahih, because waqafa is sahih, and there is a possibility that a kalima starts with waw, and it can be ghair sahih. For example, waqa yaqi. So that is wa, qaf, and ya. So that means this is not, the last kalima is not sahih, ghair sahih. So that's what the Shaykh is telling us here. Aw kana mithalan, if it is mithal, but what kind of mithal it is supposed to be? Sahih al-akhiri, which the third root letter is sahih, and we can see here that waqafa is sahih over here. So when it is mithal,
like wajada.
Yes, when it is mithal and the third root letter is sahih, this is not ghair sahih, then it will come on the pattern of maf'ilun. For example, waqafa yaqifu, and from that we have mawqifun. Similarly, wada'a yada'u, again we can see here that the third root letter is not naqis, this is sahih, so that's why it is on the pattern of mawdi'un. Wada'a yada'u, and then we have mawdi'un. So Maf'al comes on the pattern, it comes on the pattern of maf'alun when it comes from naqis and when it comes from the rest of the abwab other than daraba yadribu. And it comes on the pattern of maf'ilun when the verb is from bab daraba yadribu or when the verb comes from mithal. So only 4 points that you need to remember. وَقَدْ تَلْحَقُ. Okay. And it meets. Here, qad is used for indeed, or is it used for sometimes?
Sometimes, Ustad.
Yes, we
Because if it
discussed
precedes
that.
the sentence.
Yes, the qad normally comes with the past tense. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. So it is used for indeed. قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ. Yes. But when it comes with the present tense, as we discussed, min dunil Quran or min ghairil Quran, it will be used for to mean sometimes. But when it is used in the Quran it can be used as for emphasis as well. So other than the Quran, it will be used to mean sometimes. وَقَدْ تَلْحَقُ مَفْعِلًا. And sometimes the pattern of maf'ilan is met, or it meets ha'ut tanithi. Sometimes it meets ha'ut tanith. What is the meaning of ha'ut tanith? Have you heard about it? It's basically ta'ut tanith. Okay? Yeah,
Ta'ut tanis or ta marbuta?
Yeah, but in Arabic, it is also called ha'ut tanith. Why? Because
both have the same sound.
If you know the rule of the tajweed, when we stop on that, ta
Both
marbuta
end with the
changes.
same sound. That's what.
Madrasatun, it is madrasatun. But when we stop on that, when we stop the
Madrasa.
rule of the tajweed, then it will be pronounced as ha. Madrasa, al-qariyah. So it was al-qariyatu, right? But whenever ta marbuta we have in the end of the kalima, that is the rule of the tajweed. And when you stop on that, then it will be pronounced as ha and not as ta. So that's why it is named as ta'ut tanith, or it is also named as ha'ut tanith. In fact, it should be ta marbuta or it should be ha'ut tanith. So as we have discussed that sometimes ta is added to that. So from madrasa, it becomes madrasatun. Mahkama, it becomes mahkamatun. Maktabun, it becomes maktabatun. Manzilun, it becomes manzilatun. So here it could be maf'ilun and it could be maf'alun. Both of them are possible. Okay, now do you remember that yesterday we discussed that why it is added? When something is done frequently, or when something happens frequently, it gives the meaning of frequency. Madrasatun is a place where we go frequently. Mahkamatun, like mahkama, like the government offices, normally we go there frequently. Maktabatun, library, we go there frequently. So something that is done frequently or something that is visited frequently. Manzilatun is used for house as well. So house or the muqam is it's also used for, so the place where we go, like normally we visit a lot. So that's why it is added over there. And this is an extra piece of information, which if we know.
What is added, Ustad? I didn't get you. The ta marbuta is added because some part was missing when you said something.
Madrasun, it was madrasun basically. But then ta marbuta is added. So it means there's something that is done frequently.
Okay, Ustad.
So it gives the meaning of frequency, like something is done frequently.
The words have different meanings with ta marbuta and without ta marbuta, like maktabun or maktabatun.
The meaning will definitely change. Yeah, the meaning will also change as well. You're right. So for example, maktabun means office and maktabatun means library. Hakama yahkumu, so it's mahkamun, but when the ta marbuta is added, then it becomes the government office. So the meaning definitely changes whenever something is added. Something has to be added to the meaning as well. Excellent. Now it's your turn. Sugh. فعل الأمر صاغ يصوغ صغ أسماء الزمان والمكان. So now you have to form the nouns of, so we call them noun because they are derived from, they're the derived forms of the noun. So we have to form adverb of time and adverb of place min af'al al-atiyati from the following verbs. Sa'a yas'a. Sa'a yas'a, he tried. Sa'a yas'a.
Strive.
He strived.
Yes.
So it will be?
Masa.
Yeah, mas
that we
an.
read yesterday.
Yeah, mas an. Yeah, so we, as we know, that we will put only meme in the beginning and make this sakin, and here we will change it into tanween, so it becomes mas an. Very easy to make from naqis. So remember, please, that from naqis, it always comes on the pattern of maf'alun. So this will, all of them will be on the pattern of maf'alun, as we can see here. And we know ism al-manqus, it has its own changes. Most of the times it takes kasratain, but here, just to suit the pattern, because the original pattern will be mas'ayun, right? On the pattern of maf'adun, it will be mas'ayun. So again, for the phonetics reasons, instead of mas'ayun, it has changed into mas'an. And what will happen if we add al with that? It will be al-mas'a, so then it will be dropped, or it changes into standing fatha. Al-mas'a. Mas'a is the place where we do sa'i when we go for hajj or umrah. Laha yalhu, so it will be to play. Malhan, excellent. Rama yarmi, to throw. And marman is used for like hadaf goal, like the goals in the football field. They also call it marman, or the place that is being hit, or we can say like aim, the aim. Yes, marman will be the aim that you are going to, that you are going to target. Yes, awa ya'wi. Ma'wan. Yes. Yes. So when we add al with that, please remember, then it will be al-ma'wa, and it is also used frequently in the Quran. After we complete this, inshallah, we will see the verse over there. There are many verses. That there is one verse that will come, inshallah, in the end of this slide. Nafa yanfi, basically it means to banish or to deport someone. So to banish or to deport, and also it means to negate, as we know that. Nafa yanfi will be manfan. So someone who has been the place of exile. So we will say the person who has been exiled. So the time of exile or the place of exile. Okay, so maf'alun comes from naqis. That's number one. Number two, it comes from. Yalla, please quickly tell me.
Where the ainul kalima is the
Fatha or Dhamma?
Fatha or Dhamma. Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
Fatha as well as Dhamma.
Yes. So either ainul kalima for mudari, please remember. Ainul kalima for mudari should either have Fatha or it should have Dhamma. So whenever it has Fatha or Dhamma, it will always come on the pattern of maf'alun. I gave you the hint, so it should be easier now. Laiba yalabu. He plays playground. Ta'ima yat'amu. Mat'amun, restaurant. Tabakha yatbukhu. Matbakhun, kitchen. Qa'ada yaq'udu, to sit. Maq'adun, used for the seat. Haja'a yahja'u, to sleep. Mahja'un, the place of sleeping, and that's why they also call it hostel as well, or dormitory. They give it this name. So here we have this verse. فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. The blazing fire will be their abode. So from Naziyat, it is like the verse.
Awa is also a place like refuge or something.
Yes, the place of refuge. Yeah. أَوَلْ فِتْيَةُ فِي الْكَافِ. أَوَلْ فِتْيَةُ فِي الْكَافِ. When the young men took refuge in Kahf. إِذْ أَوَلْ فِتْيَةُ فِي الْكَافِ. So this is the verb over here. أَوَلْ فِتْيَةُ فِي الْكَافِ. This one. Okay. Then we haven't discussed about ajwaf. So ajwaf, the only thing that we need to remember that for ajwaf, whether it is ajwaf wawi or yawi, it will always come on the pattern of mafalun. Always come on the pattern of mafalun. It is basically maf'alun, but you know maf'alun, this is basically makwanun, and you know makwanun, when we have waw and there is fatha before it, or when waw has fatha and the kalima before it is sakin. So let me just write it over here. Makwa.
Change it to alif.
Makwanun, it will be on the pattern of maf'alun, the same pattern, okay? So when waw has fatha and there is a kalima that is sakin before it, then the waw transfers its fatha or its haraka to the one that is before it. So it becomes makawnun, and we know that when waw is sakin and there is fatha before it, it changes into alif.
Alif.
So that's why it has changed into makanun. So either you can remember it like this, or you can remember it like this, that it always comes on the pattern of mafalun when we talk about ajwaf. So kana yakunu makanun.
Makanun.
Makan, and the plural is amkinatun, place, makanun. Then we have
Maqamun. Maqam.
maqamun, excellent. Maqamun.
Mataf.
Tafa yatufu.
Mataf.
Mataf.
That's why we say mataf.
Yes, mataf, the place of doing tawaf. And zara, to visit, yazuru, and mazarun, the place that is frequently visited. Okay. And now we are also here discussing about muda'af. Muda'af comes on the pattern of mafallun. So it comes on the pattern of mafallun. So either you can remember the pattern, or I think that will be easier, that it comes on the pattern of mafallun. Mafallun. Or when you look at the present tense, in present tense, just change ya'ul kalima into meme, change it into meme, and the next kalima, change it into fatha, and it becomes mamarrun. Similarly, it becomes mafallun. So whatever is easy for you, you can do it like that. So halla yahullu, so marra yamurru, mamarrun, yeah.
Mahallun.
Marra yamurru, mamarrun. So what will be the meaning of mamarrun?
That's a place of passing.
Yeah, corridor. So like the corridor in the house, or corridor in the hospital, or any public place. So that is called mamarrun. Okay, halla yahullu.
Where all the people pass by.
Yes. So halla yahullu will be
Mahallun.
mahallun. So as we said, we will change this into ma, and we will give this fatha, so it becomes mahallun, place. It is also used for shop as well, mahallun. Qarra yaqurru. Qarra means to settle down, and the place where we settle down is called maqarrun. Maqarrun is used for headquarters as well, headquarters, the government headquarters, or any of them. So that place where we have, like, where we can settle down is called maqarrun. Hatta yahuttu.
Mahattun.
Yeah, hatta,
Mahattatun.
yeah, to take down the load. Take down the load. So basically, this is a place where we go and we take down the load,
Mahattun.
and we put everything on the train, so everything on the bus. So it is mahattun, and then we know that ta al-marbuta is added, and now we know that mahattatun is basically a place that is frequently visited. That's why ta al-marbuta has been added to that, and mahattatun is called station. It could be bus station.
Even the airport is also called that, where the aeroplanes reside, that is also called like that. Ustad.
Matar. La matar. Tara yatiru.
Matar, the airport itself. No?
Airport is called matar.
Okay, matar. Okay, tar, matar. Okay, got it.
So it is tara yatiru. And
this is like a station, Ustad. Mahattatun is like a station, right?
Station, yeah.
Station.
And matar
Yeah,
will
station.
be airport.
Airport, yeah.
Tara yatiru. And on the pattern of mafalun, it is ajwaf, so it will be matarun, airport.
Okay.
And here we have waliman khafa maqama rabbihi jannatan. Maqama, as we can see here, with fatha. Also in the Quran, it is used with dhamma, but we haven't taken that. That is from the derived forms of the verb. So first of all, we focus on this, and inshallah, when we reach that stage, we will also come to know that it can be maqamun, and it can also be muqamun. But as of now, we only know that it is maqamun. So for those who fear of standing before their Lord, will be 2 gardens. Okay, waliman khafa maqama rabbihi. How do we get the meaning of will be? Wa, we know waw al-istinafiya, liman, whoever.
Because of man, they will be shut.
Okay, so khafa is the verb, maqama is the place, and it is mudaf. Rabbihi is mudaf ilayh. Jannatan, 2 gardens. So it's basically waliman khafa maqama rabbihi falahu jannatan. For him or for her, there will be 2 gardens. So that's the beauty of the Quran, like the flow of the Quran, the usloob of the Quran, where we can figure out, like the translation will tell us that something has, for them, there will be two gardens. So for those who fear of standing before their Lord, for them, there will be two gardens. So falahum or falahu jannatan.
So she will say that this is like two sentences and one is
yeah, it's basically normally, as we discussed, like sometimes what happens, as we know, this is the usloob of the Quran. Sometimes for takhfif or for, as we know, but this is the text of the Quran. So sometimes it is that something has been mahdhuf, has been dropped. Like illa alladhina amalu wa amilu salihat. And we have seen that it is al-a'mal as-salihat. So that's the same idea as over here. Yes, inshallah. So when we start exploring the text of the Quran, now I'm just giving you a gist of it, just a taste of it, so that you get used to it. Our focus is to see on maqam, which is adverb, and it is adverb of standing before, so it's adverb of definitely place. Then we have walada yalidu. So now we have the pattern of
Misal.
maf'ilun. And when do we get maf'ilun?
It's on the scale of misal.
Excellent. So number one, we need to focus on mithal. So mithal means that it starts with waw, and the last root letter has to be sahih. It shouldn't be ghair sahih. Please remember this. So only then we will get it on the pattern of maf'ilun. So we have walada yalidu and mawlidun. Yes, very good. Mawlidun. So the place of birth, right? And then we have warada yaridu. Mawrid is used for the resource. Waqafa yaqifu. Mawqifun. Park.
Parking.
Yes. Wada yada'u.
Mawdi'un.
Excellent. So now we have, yes, the place of putting something or keeping something, or the place of placing something is called mawdi'un. Okay, then the second category is maf'ilun comes from bab daraba yadribu. It comes bab daraba yadribu, or ayn al-kalima fal-mudari should be maksur. So you can remember it in two ways. Either you can remember that from bab daraba yadribu, from sahih af'al, or you can remember that ayn al-kalima for the mudari as kasra. So in either case, it will come on the pattern of maf'ilun. Raja'a yarji'u marji'un. Now you remember that we talk about damir, and we know that damir always has a marji', the place of return, that this pronoun goes back to this and it goes back to this. So that's why we call it marji', the place of return. Sarafa yasrifu, to spend. Masrif,
bank.
The bank. Spending, yani bank. Arada yaridu, to exhibit, to show. Maridu, used for exhibition. Excellent. And jalasa yajlisu, majlis, the place of sitting, majlisun. Excellent.
So when it comes on the scale of the ainul kalima is a kasra, it comes on maf'ilun. But as the ainul kalima is fatha or dhamma, it comes on maf'alun, Ustad. Easy to remember.
That's right, yes. It will be maf'alun. Always it will be, let's say, maf'alun, unless we see that the sahih verb is from daraba yadribu. Yeah, daraba yadribu, or ainul kalima of the present tense of the sahih verb, when it has kasra, then it will always come on the pattern of maf'ilun. Yes, maf'ilun. Istakhrij, extract, mimma, min, from, ma alladhi, as we know, ma al-masula, from what ya'ti comes asma az-zamani wal makani, adverbs of time and place. Wadhkur, and mention, wazna, the pattern of wazn, wazna kulli wahidin, each one of them, each one, minha, from them. So each one from them. Wal fail, and then we have to mention the verb alladhi, or alladhis, or alladhish tuqqa minhu, or alladhi ushtuqqa minhu will be easy to pronounce, from which it has been derived. So now we have to extract adverb of time and place, and also we have to mention the noun from where it has been derived. The verb where it has been derived. Yuqalu, it is said. This is very interesting.
Passive?
Basically, passive, of course. قال يقول قيل يقال. It is said. يقال, it is said, or people say, or it is said. Huwa, so this is basically a ta'bir. Ta'bir means idiom. So this is basically an idiom, like we have idioms in in English. Similarly, we have idioms in Arabic language as well. Huwa minni, he is for me or with me. Bimar'an. So this is basically ra'a, yar'a. And we know that it is mabni, so that's why instead of taking kasratain, even though we have harf jar, it wouldn't change. So it is bimar'an wa masma'in. So masma'in, because this is not mabni, so that's why it takes kasratain. Sami'a yasma'u. And he is for me in a place where he can be seen and he can be heard, or he is in a place of being seen and being heard. And he is so close to me that I can see him and I can hear him. I is called harf tafsir to explain something. I bahaythu, wherever arahu, I see him, wa asma'u, and I listen, kalamahu, his talk. So wherever I can hear, I can see him and I can hear his talk, is called huwa minni bimar'an wa masma'in. And he is so close to me that I can see him and I can talk to him, or I can see her and I can talk to her. So ra'a yar'a mar'an. So mar'an will be ism al-makan, and masma'in is from sami'a yasma'u, and masma'un it is mar'an is taken from ra'a yar'a, and masma'un is taken from sami'a yasma'u. Sami'a yasma'u, and both of them are ism al-makan. And both of them, their wazn is pattern is maf'alun. Maf'alun, excellent. And then we have the verses of the Quran. Qala ta'ala, inna maw'idakum. So after inna,
Wa'ada.
Wa'ada ya'idu.
Yes. So from mithal,
Misal's automatically.
Yes. Alaysa as-subhu biqaribin, and here the use of laysa and then ba for emphasis as well. Yeah.
Emphasis.
So maw'idukum, maw'id. So maw'id is from wa'ada, and this is from mithal. Okay, and it is on the pattern of maf'ilun. Maf'ilun, excellent. Then we have لقد كان لسبع في مسكنهم آية.
Sakana yaskunu.
Sakana yaskunu ayatun. Okay, so maskan is on the pattern of maf'al. Sakana yaskunu. So maskanihim ayatun. Jannatani. So you can look at the translation by yourself. So we know maskan, dwelling place. So that means it is also ismul makan. وقال تعالى قد علم كل أناس مشربهم. مشرب.
Sharaba.
شرب يشرب. شرب يشرب. So mashrab, place, drinking place, or place of drinking.
مفعل.
Yes, maf'alun, excellent, maf'alun. أليس في جهنم مثوى للكافرين. مثوى للكافرين. Yes. So مثوى is from thawa yathwa, excellent. Thawa yathwa, and then we have mathwan, and it is used for residence. So this is also from thawa yathwa on the pattern of maf'alun. ما لكم من ملجأ يومئذ, and يومئذ when we continue. So malja'in, basically malja'un. Laja'a. Yes, so it is also on the pattern of maf'alun.
Refuge.
Yes, used for refuge. Excellent. And then we have hadith عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من قام من مجلسه. مجلس.
جلس يجلس.
مجلس. Excellent. مفعل. So whoever leaves his place or stands from his place, ثم رجع, and then he comes back, إليه, to it. إليه, he refers to the place. فهو أحق به, so he is the most deserving for it. So our Islam also teaches us like adab al-majlis, like what the etiquette of majlis, like of sitting, that if a person is sitting in a place and then he leaves, okay, and then he leaves, and if he comes back, then he deserves the most to be sitting in that place. Subhanallah. So like
Surah Al-Mujadila also is that.
Mujadala. Yes, Mujadala. Yes. So whenever a person leaves a place, when you're attending a ceremony or you're in a masjid or any place, and if a person leaves the seat, and if there is a possibility that person, he or she will come back, and then he is or she is the most deserving to be sitting over there. In other words, we shouldn't be taking the place of that person. And then we have Subhanallah, amthilatun,
mannerism.
and I have like, yes,
sometimes we try to snatch the place, Ustad, and we just sit and as if we look nowhere.
Unfortunately,
we don't look at them only.
Exactly, we just lower our gaze and we say like, I don't know where you are or who you are. So as soon as we find a place, we sit over there. May Allah protect us and make us among those who have good akhlaq, and may Allah bless us with the good akhlaq as well. So I have more examples for you. Now it's up to you to figure out. You can just write down the verbs, like the verb, and then we have majma'a. So only here we have like this, we will see jama'a yajma'u, mashhad, shahida yashhadu, mashhad, matla, tala'a yatla'u, matla, kharaja yakhruju, we have makhraj, and halla yahullu, so we have mahil, and awa ya'wa, we have ma'wa, and sara yasiru, and we have nasir. Yeah, sara with sad and alif to be Sara Yasiru, and then we have Nasir. Yes, like exactly. That's right. So now you have more examples, alhamdulillah, and you can focus on them. You can write down the root letters, the verb, and you can also look at the patterns, whether it is on the pattern of maf'alun or maf'ilun. Okay, now we have to take out from the lesson. So we already have them from the lesson. We have from the lesson mat'amun. Also we have masrifun, yeah, mat'am, restaurant, masrif, bank, mawqifun, car park. So all of them are ism al-makan except for mawid. Mawid is used for both. It is used for ism al-zaman and ism al-makan. Time of promise and place of promise. And then we have madkhalun, entrance, mahjaun, hostel, mahattatun is the station, matafun, the place of doing tawaf, mas'an, the place of doing sa'i, and maktabun, desk or office. And we have the verbs here. They're the verbs that have been taken from ta'ima, sarafa, waqafa, wa'ada, and the rest you can figure out by yourselves. We are done, alhamdulillah. So the last part is the vocabulary part. The most of the vocab we already know.
Ustad, I have a doubt in the previous slide. It is ta'am or ta'ima?
Ta'ima, we have it here. Yeah, here.
Okay.
So we have tahiyyatun, and the plural is tahiyyatun, greetings. Mushtarikun, participant, and mushtarikuna. So mushtarikuna is on the pattern of ism al-fa'il, but from the derived form of the verb ishtaraka, yashtariku, ishtarakan, fahuwa mushtarikun. Rihlatun, journey or trip, rihlatun. Masrifun, masarifun.
Rihlun also is there, Ustad, for this one.
Rahilun, right? Yeah, the one who travels a lot. Rahilun, yes. And rahalatun also, it is also used. Rahalatun, a person who travels a lot. And the points that I was going to give you, all asma'ul zaman and asma'ul makan, their plural will always be on the pattern of mafa'ilu. Please write it down, that the plural will always be on the pattern of, exceptions are always there, few exceptions, 1 or 2 exceptions, but 99.9% it will be on the pattern of mafa'ilu. For example, maktab, makatib, masjid, masajid, mashriq, masharik, maghrib, magharib. So most of the times, and this is like my own conclusion that I derived learning the language, that most of them will be on the pattern of mafa'ilu, mamnu min as-sarf. Musta'idun, ready. Mawqif, mawaqifu, again you can see on the pattern of mafa'ilu. And then we have laja'a, yalja'u, luju'an. Very important to look at the masdar as well, to take refuge. And awiyan is to seek refuge. So completely different. To take refuge and to seek refuge. Then we have ta'ama yat'amu, ta'aman, taste. Ta means taste. Ta'ama, to taste, to eat something. And we say ta'amuhu murran, yani if you eat something and the taste is like bitter, so we say ta'amuhu murran, its taste is bitter. Haja'a yahja'u huju'an. So mahaji'u, if you remember, mahaji'u, hostels. Nada yunadi, nida'an wa munadayan, munadatun. So it's like jahada yujahidu, jihadan wa mujahadatan. So it can have two
masdars.
Two masdar, yeah. So if you remember from jahada yujahidu, jihadan wa mujahadatan, similarly nada yunadi, nida'an wa munadatan. Thawa yathwi, thawa'an, to stay. Tawafa yatufu tawafan bil ka'bati, not the tawaf of anything else. La natufu bil qabur, we don't do tawaf of qabur or anything else. Faqat natufu bil Kaaba, we do the tawaf of only Kaaba. So to go around the Kaaba, then we have sa'a yas'a sa'yan. To walk between Safa and yes.
This has been used in the Quran.
Yes,
this one, because
yes,
it is striving
who has strived as it deserves to be strived. Yes. And nafa yanfi nafiyan, to banish or to deport. Arada yaridu ardan, to display. And then we have hatta yahuttu. So you don't only have to look at the verbs and their masdar, you have to also make as dharf zaman and makan by yourself now. For example, arada yaridu, so ma'rid, right? Ma'rid. See here, because ayn al kalima has kasra. So it will be ma'rid, yes. And sa'a yasa will be mas'an, because this is naqis. So naqis will be always on the pattern of maf'alun, and the rest will be, yes. Qarra yaqiru qararan, to settle down. And from here we also have the word qurratun, qurratu ayun, the coolness of the eyes. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. Very beautiful dua. We must make it every day, every time, after every prayer. Very, very important. Yes. And then we have maqarrun, residence, place of work, or headquarters. Iltaqa, yaltaqi, iltiqa'an. So this is verb from number 8, to meet. Wajaba yajibu, wujuban, to be necessary. And when we use it, it means must, yeah. Yajibu an tadhhaba, you must go. So mostly it is translated as must. Yassara yuyassiru taysiran, to facilitate. Fahuwa muyassirun, as we can see here. Muyassirun, the one who facilitates. Az-zahamu, crowd. Laha yalhu lahwan, to amuse oneself, to play. Malhan, amusement park, it is used for the amusement park. And then we have qitarun, and the plural is qitaratun, atun, and also quturun, on the pattern of fu'ulun. Alhamdulillah, we have completed our lesson. So tomorrow, inshallah, or in the next lesson, we will meet again, inshallah, with the next lesson, which is lesson number 7, which is also about mushtaqat, about ismul ala. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وإياكم.